intentionally, oh, intentionally planning for success. So one of the things that we really hate is what we call dump and hope, which is where you say, all right, here's a child who needs maybe needs some special supports, maybe needs some assistance, maybe has a disability. We're just going to throw them into the classroom and hope that it works out. And we all know that that usually spells disaster. I don't think I have this on slideshow, do I? Let's see if I move this down and try view slideshow. There we go. That's better. That's a little bigger. So the Inclusion Collaborative has a lot of opportunities for learning and inclusion. We offer a lot of trainings. We do coaching. We do a lot of things. We have a website, so please feel free to visit. So I'm going to focus on the warm line, which is what, excuse me, what I work for. The Warm Line offers supports to parents, to teachers, to community organizations. You can give us a call, give us an email. We support the Warm Line in English, Spanish, Vietnamese, and Mandarin. And if you download the slideshow, you can click on the links for those various flyers for the Warm Line. And we really encourage parents and teachers and community members to give us a call or give us an email, and we'll help you with all sorts of supports. But today I wanted to focus on visual supports and why they're important. They help people understand their environment, communicate their emotions and their needs, and really engage in any activities that are going on. When even in high school and college, I think that having those visual supports can be so useful for all students. So one of the first visuals I want to talk a little bit about are visual schedules. Particularly for children who aren't reading, having those visual schedules is important. It lets them know what their day is going to be like or their week is going to be like. For students who are verbal and students who are reading, the visuals can be very small and the words can be very big. Maybe the visuals go away and the words are still there, but having those schedules can be very important. So I always suggest for students who are being included, particularly in high school or in middle school, that they have those visuals reminding them what's the checklist of items we need for every class. What is the schedule? What does my schedule look like? So the student can go through the day and check those off. So why have visual schedules? They reduce anxiety. They reduce tantrums. They reduce all that acting out and misunderstandings. They really they can increase a child's independence as well. For adults, I say it's sort of like having a guidebook. So when you go to France or to China, you're going to take a guidebook with you with all that detailed information and you plan your day out. And it's at that point when you can relax and say, okay, I've got this. I know what I'm going to see. I've seen pictures of what I'm going to see. Now I'm going to see it. So having the visuals can really reduce some of that anxiety. It's important to have them even at home. So a lot of teachers use visuals in the classroom, especially in special day classes. Hopefully, in their general ed classes, they're using some visuals as well. It's really good at reducing some of the struggles that we go through as parents. And here I've got a short video of a parent explaining how she uses a visual schedule at home for a young child.
This is Emmett's morning schedule. We put it together because he's having some struggles in the morning.
And can you hear that? No. Yes? Oh, good.
Especially with getting dressed. So when we first introduced the schedule to Emmett, we just explained what the pictures meant on here. And it doesn't matter so much what your pictures are as long as you and the child are consistent with them and know what they mean. So this little symbol for get dressed is a little person with a star on their shirt. It doesn't have a picture of someone actually getting dressed, but we explained to him that this picture means get dressed. And we're consistent with that. So he knows now, he kind of can read it just like we can read words. You can learn how to read pictures. He reads it as get dressed. So we said, okay, here's your schedule. First thing, we get dressed, wash hands, eat breakfast, bus your dishes, which is a term they use at school, so we kind of carried it over. You can use clean up, whatever works for your family. Brush teeth, and then it's playtime. And to motivate him for the first week or two, because he really struggled with the getting dressed part. He would rather stay in his pajamas or run around the house naked. And washing hands and getting to the table was a struggle. So at the meal table, we had some sea creature placemats that he could use, and he could choose different ones, and they were new and novel and exciting. So that kind of motivated him to get through this hard part of his schedule, and then he got to use one of the sea creature placemats. We went through the schedule really consistently for a couple of weeks. After maybe 2 weeks, he could kind of go through by himself and take the pieces off. After he got dressed, he would pull it off. They're on Velcro. And on the back, we have more Velcro, and he would just stick it on the back. Really nice to have the schedule, because when you get to those times where they don't want to get dressed, you'll be like, I know, it's such a bummer. But schedule says get dressed. And you can kind of blame the schedule. It takes a little bit of the battle of who's telling the child to get dressed. So we have these on here. If it's a school day, because he goes to school part-time, we have a little school symbol, so we would put that instead of playtime here. We also have play outside, because that's a big motivator for him. He really likes to play outside. So sometimes instead of just playing, we would specify, like, you get to go outside the backyard. Another thing I really like about the schedules is a surprise. You can use kind of any symbol I've seen, like little fireworks or stars or something that just means, and you teach the child that surprise just means something different. So if we're going to, instead of playing, we are going to go to the Ponzi or the zoo or to the park or somewhere that's different from our normal routine, that's when we would put the surprise up, and we would explain to them that when we got going in the morning, that, oh, look, we have a surprise today. Today, after you brush your teeth, we are going to go to Ponzi. And then as he goes through his schedule, like after he gets dressed, we would say, review a couple of things and say, and remember, do you remember what surprise means today? And we would talk about it enough until he could be like, yeah.
All right, so a brief description of what she has created for her son. He's a younger child. A couple of things that she mentioned that I think are really important. The schedules are good for struggles, for when that child, and that's any child, even teenagers, when they don't want to do something, to see that, okay, this is on the schedule, but after the thing that's hard to do, there's something that I enjoy. So having those, building in those motivators of adding a favorite activity, or in this case, she added a new placemat. Having something that they enjoy at the end really helps kids and adults push through that schedule when there are things that are hard, like getting up or maybe doing homework. First you do homework, then you get to watch your favorite TV show. So just seeing that on the schedule can sometimes help kids push through those hard things. Having it on the schedule also, as she mentions, takes out that battle that might be between parents and children. It's not that I'm telling you that you have to do this, it's on the schedule. It's what the schedule says. We have to follow the schedule. And then always having some kind of surprise for a change, having something that represents surprise, and reminding kids over and over again, don't forget, at the end of this, there's a surprise. At the end of this, we're doing something different on our schedule. So that's very useful. Now she puts them on, she puts those on Velcro, which is great. If you can laminate and Velcro, that's really useful. However, for a lot of us, we may not have a laminator or Velcro, and that seems like a lot of work. So another thing you can do is make a flip schedule. I think this is a lot easier to make. And here's an example of one that you can make yourself. This one has lots of cartoon pictures. In this case, you would just take a cardstock or a folder or even just a piece of paper, cut out little windows, and as each thing is finished, you close the window. Okay, that's done, the next thing's done. So that makes making a schedule really fast, really easy. And there are a lot of different kinds of pictures you can use. If you want to download these are cartoon pictures. They have just a lot of different things. you can use your child's own picture. Those are always great because people are often motivated by seeing themselves having finishing something. So you can use the pictures of your child finishing things, or you can use Boardmaker. Do any of you use Boardmaker? Your children use Boardmaker? Anyone? So Boardmaker was developed particularly for children who have autism. You'll notice these pictures are very simple. There's no background, so there's nothing to distract you from the action that's going on in the picture. Boardmaker is something you might have to you can purchase, and it's a little expensive, but you can also find things online that are done in Boardmaker if that's what your child works best with. And here's one that I downloaded from the internet. So if you just put in Boardmaker and a certain kind of picture, Boardmaker brush your teeth, you'll get pictures. So these can be very useful for visual schedules, all depending on your child, using the pictures, genuine pictures of your child, using cartoon pictures, using pictures from the internet, or using the simplified pictures from Boardmaker. Do any of your children use schedules at school? I see some nods. Yeah, so if you're using whatever kind of pictures your child is using at school, maybe keeping those the same, can be the same type of pictures, that can also be useful. So I've had a lot of parents say, after we've developed all sorts of visuals and social stories for their child, and they go to school and they say, oh, this is exactly what we do at home too. Makes that transition really smooth. You can have a variety of different schedules for the day. There's potty schedules for, we call these mini schedules. Mini schedules like going to the bathroom if you're working on potty training. What kind of manners do you expect at the table? Having a visual schedule for a mealtime, even showers. So I know I wrote a shower schedule for a teenage boy who was having difficulty washing all of his bits and parts. He would wash his hair and he would wash his face and he'd be done. And his mother would say, no, he still smells. Please help. So we made a visual schedule for him about all the different bits of your body that you have to wash. And he would check, she laminated it and he checked it off in the shower to make sure that he went through all of his shower activities. I also suggest that you make, if you're making a daily schedule, that you make 2 or 3, maybe one for the morning, one for the afternoon, and one for the evening, because sometimes having a whole day schedule is way too long and too large. So visual schedules, so useful. They can help with so much. Having a weekly schedule for kids who are always asking, well, what day is it? Do I go to school today? Do I go to school today? Do I go to dance today? So maybe having a weekly schedule that indicates what days are school, what days you have outside activities, that can be helpful. And also for divorce. Divorce is really hard on kids, we know that. And one of the questions they often have is, where am I going tomorrow? Where am I going today? After school, who do I go with? So having a visual schedule that reminds them, okay, today you're with mom, and we have a doctor's appointment, and you go to school. Tomorrow you're with dad, and you have scouts, and you have school. That can be very helpful. It gives them some sense of safety and control because you can see the schedule. I know what's going on. It's important for all of us to have some kind of control. So going back to the woman who was telling us about how she uses visual schedules at her home, here's an example of her son using his daily schedule.
Let's get your schedule this morning. Let's check it. First one is contrast.
Hand washing.
Take some time. You have to teach them.
Yep.
Play.
Yep.
Wow.
That's right. Today we're going to go somewhere special.
The library is.
Well, we did that yesterday. It's fun, right? Today's surprise is on the scene. I mean, you're all dressed. Go ahead and check your schedule. Remember get dressed goes on the back of the schedule?
Is it school day?
Let's check.
No.
Nope, not a school day today.
Not
All right.
school.
What's the next thing on your schedule after get dressed?
He has to check. You give him lots of patience.
That's right.
Then eat. Then wash your plate. Then brushing. Then play. Then practice.
All right, so that's a simple example of he's using the schedule. And you can see that it's very short. She's divided into morning. I don't know what she does for the afternoon, but here's her morning schedule. We're following this morning schedule. Sometimes if you see too much, it becomes overwhelming. So that's very useful. It's nice having it laminated, having the Velcro, although sometimes that can be distracting, as we saw with this little boy. He really enjoyed the tactile sense of that Velcro, but it does give him some independence. There are a lot of apps, and here's a list. Again, if you download the slideshow, it will take you to those links. There are a lot of apps that you can use on your phone to create schedules. Some of them cost money, some of them are free, and you can certainly try the ones on the phone apps and see how they work for creating a schedule. Does anyone have any questions about schedules? And does anyone use any schedules at home? Do you use any visual schedules? You can put it in the chat if you want. All right, so another visual you can use is a choice board. So this is particularly for, choice boards are good visuals for 3 different types of children. One would be a child who is either nonverbal or just learning to speak. It can really help increase our understanding of what our children want. It can also give them an opportunity to make more choices. It can also help kids who have difficulty figuring out what to do. Okay, it's recess. So they're just standing around. I don't know what to do at recess. Well, giving them a visual choice can help. What do you want to do at recess? Do you want to be on the swings? Do you want to, well, I guess there aren't swings at school. Do you want to be on the jungle gym? Do you want to play wall ball? Or you could have more choices. But choice board is a nice visual for children who are learning to speak and who have children who have difficulty figuring out what to do next. It really helps that communication. It does decrease tantrums. When I think about children who are just learning to speak, it's sometimes so hard to figure out what they're saying. So if we can see it on the choice board, it's easier for us to understand. And it increases the variety. So maybe you've got a child who always goes to the, let's say it's in preschool, they always go to the pretend area. But you want them to try something else. So maybe giving them more options on that choice board, or maybe even taking away that choice that they usually choose, will give them a chance to try some new things. So Yale says she uses it for his shower. He uses a written schedule during the day and nonverbal. But he reads well. Great. So having those visual schedules can turn into written schedules, can turn into things on your phone. How many of us have our schedules on our phone, right? So I have my daughter who's in graduate school, has ADHD. And once she got to college, she put everything on her phone. And when I say everything, I mean everything. So she, on her phone, even in graduate school, she has things like take a shower. She has get up, eat breakfast, go brush your teeth. If her phone does not ring, she does not do it. So she uses her visual schedule or her schedule on her phone every day. A lot of parents have asked me, well, will this go away? Will they always need a schedule? Well, maybe, because we all have a phone and we all use our schedules on our phone. So it has really helped her get through college as well. She put all of her college due dates and on her phone. So her phone goes off every 15 minutes, I swear. But it's an adaptation that is okay to take with you forever. Okay, we'll go till 7:45. Okay. So think of questions. I think we can only do visual schedules today. Well, we'll see. Here's an example of a child using a choice board. Very simple, very easy. I'll try my best. Maybe here's an example of a child using a choice board. Come on. Well, it worked 10 minutes ago. Let's see if I refresh. Let's try it again. There we go.
Starburst or Spree? Spree? Okay. Good boy.
No. Simple. He
Thank
gets
you.
a choice. He chooses. What I like about this video, what I liked about that little snippet of a video is I cannot understand what he's saying. She says, "What do you want for your snack?" And he says what he wants, but since I'm not related to him and he's just learning to speak, I don't understand what he says. We could have a pure meltdown there. What did you say? Did you say, what did you say? Can you say it again? But he can point to it and say it at the same time. So I've got it. I can remind him how to say the word and then go on. And he's been successful at communicating. That's really important. All right. Let me put this back in slideshow. Go to the next one. We did this one already. All right. So we have lots of visuals. We have lots of choice boards that you can ask us for. So if you think, gosh, I really want that, I want choice board, we can send you through email the soft copies of pictures and then how to make that for yourself. So you can see it's very easy on an old folder to make a simple choice board. We have choices for activities, for food, for toys, for songs, and maybe most importantly for emotions. Excuse me. So a lot of times kids have difficulty understanding and expressing emotions, and seeing the visual of what those choices are can help them increase their understanding of emotions and also help them understand how other people feel. So one of the choice boards that you can make or we can send you is a feelings wheel. You can put everybody's name in the family on the feelings wheel and then remind your child, how do people feel? Oh, I see dad he feels sad right now. So gosh, Sarah, let's say it's the little girl's name is Sarah. Gosh, Sarah, your dad, how does he feel? Oh, he feels sad. Is there anything you can do to help, to make him feel better? Can you go over and comfort him? So having that choice board for feelings can help children identify their own feelings and also identify the feelings of others. And there are lots of apps for choice boards as well. And a couple of them are free, so you could try them out and on your phone. And if you like them, continue to use them. If you don't, then you can get rid of it without spending anything. All right. So as I said, this is all going to be very brief. Then the next kind of visual that I like are the visual social stories. So social stories can be like a visual schedule in that they explain a routine and really help a child become familiar with a routine. I always suggest a social story when a child has a new activity coming up, or a new school. So if your child is going from preschool to kindergarten, from elementary school to middle school, from middle school to high school, having a social story that explains that routine can be very comforting. What I've also found is it's not only comforting for the child, it can also be comforting for the parents, because I know, and I'm sure some of you who've had kids go from elementary school to middle school, that's so hard on us parents. We get so nervous about, how are you going to do? What are you going to do? If we go through the routine with them, we can understand, okay, I know what the routine is. You know what the routine is. So we have a social story about school. We have at the Warm Line, we have examples of social stories for different parts of different stages of school. But if you can have one specifically about your school, that's even better. So if you're going into Palo Alto High School, having a social story with pictures of Palo Alto High School is much better than a generic story. Sometimes generic stories can work though. Social stories can teach expectations. They can teach social behaviors such as dating, and they can teach replacement behaviors. They can help teach replacement behaviors. So we do have some social stories on dating and on puberty. And I thought I don't have a link to the dating one now, but let me see if I can pull it up on my, here we go. This one's on puberty. So here's one on puberty. Some of your kids will be going through My Body is Changing. And it's kind of hard to explain it. How are you growing from a girl to a woman? You get taller. How do you change your body? And if you need to use, I personally think go ahead and use the physical, the pictures of a person's body, because you're going to have questions about your body. Your breasts get bigger, you grow hair under your arms and on your privates. You might start to menstruate. And what does that mean? You might get blood on your underpants. That can be, or in the toilet. So, you know what's going to happen. You might have stomach cramps or backache or all those things that I no longer have to go through. Yay for menopause. And what you can do if you feel pain, what you can do about keeping a calendar. So this explains in detail what to do when you are going through puberty. We have one for boys as well as girls. We have them clothed as well as unclothed for whatever a parent is comfortable with. And we have social stories on, as I said, on dating and on lots of different subjects. Death of family members, moving out of high school, out of home. What happens when you move away from home, either to go to college or to go to move to a different program, or graduating from high school? What do you do then? So social stories can be very useful for everyone, from little kids to older kids. So what is the purpose? It helps you feel comfortable. Let me make sure we just have a little bit of time. It helps you fit in. I want to show, I guess as a last thing, because we're almost done, I want to show you the mom's perspective from writing, using social stories with her child. And her child is in elementary school. She's from Australia, by the way. There'll be a little accent.
We had an objective of trying to get Isabel to work on her own for just a 5-minute period. And we also in the story were talking about some of the things that she needs to be able to sit down. So she needs to really clearly understand what it is she's got to do. She really needs to know that if she has
My internet is slow today. All right, well, you can look at that on your own, but social stories are very useful for to explain to children what their routine looks like, what behavior is expected. You use lots of pictures. It's always told from the child's perspective, and it's always in the positive. You start with the beginning. which identifies the problem, what others think of the problem, what's the middle, what's the expected behavior, and then how you and others feel at the end. So here's a simple one. When I get angry, sometimes I hit mommy. How does this make mommy feel? Mommy feels sad. When I feel like hitting, I stop. What do you need to do? I need to stop. I hold my hands. I'll take 5 breaths, and mommy's happy when I'm calm. So that's a very simple social story with the beginning, middle, and the end. It can be in single pages. It can be in multiple pages. The most important thing is we want to make sure that it's, well, this is how to interest kids. Most important thing is you need to figure out what is the reason for the behavior. So sometimes people ask me to write social stories on a behavior. So can you write a social story on stop hitting? I think, no, I can't. I need to know why that person is hitting. So, and what can they do instead? So why is this behavior happening? Generally, people try to avoid the activity or person. They might be unfamiliar with the activity or person. They might want some attention or want something else. They might feel overwhelmed, or they might be doing it for a soothing. So what is the reason that this behavior is happening? We try to make sure it's accurate. We want to make sure we're using language the child understands and use pictures that the child's interested in. And most importantly, we take it from the child's point of view. So we never write a social story that says, you should not hit. That's not a social story. It's, what is my challenge? When I get mad, I sometimes want to hit. Or when I feel, I don't know, when I feel frustrated, I sometimes want to hit. And then what is the replacement? Instead of hitting, I can take a breath or do something else. We will have to stop here because I know that you wanted to stop at 7:45 and I'm a couple minutes over. But does anyone have any questions about, let me stop the sharing. Stop the sharing. Not a new share, but a stop. Stop share. There we go. Does anyone have any questions about how to use visuals? We've talked a little bit about visual schedules, using a choice board, and using social stories, and social stories for every age on all sorts of topics.
Susan,
Yeah.
I'm hoping people will ask questions. Since I'm recording this for later, I think we can ask people to ask questions that they're happy to, and then I'll pause the recording, and if we can ask again if people have questions
Okay.
that they don't want recorded. And if we don't have any questions right away, I wondered if you could repeat the information about the warm line, introducing what that is for the people who joined.
Yes. So I work for the warm line. I'm going to put my email in the chat. So I work for the warm line, which is a call or an email service for parents and teachers and community organizers, developing resources for families and for teachers and for the community, all sorts of resources. So we have visuals like visual schedules. We help create social stories. And in the presentation, if you download it, you can see we have a list of all the stories we have some of the stories we have in English and some that we have in Spanish. We also have some in Chinese and some in Vietnamese. It depends on when people ask for them, we then translate them. We have, again, those choice boards. We help parents with, prepare for IEP meetings, help explain some of the activities that are available to children with disabilities, what kids can do when they graduate or leave school. So we do we offer a lot of different resources. And so the most important thing is to call us at the warm line when you have a question, because we can usually find some resources and some information.
Thank you so